Dear viewers, today we invite you into a simple yet profound story where shoes are not mere objects, but threads of the soul, woven with honor and legacy. Join us for The Last Shoemaker, the story of Emil Graber, a man whose steadfast craft resisted the lure of money. Let us begin this journey together. In a quiet corner of a forgotten town, nestled between an old bookstore and an empty cafe, stood a small shoe shop with a wooden sign, Emil's Shoes since 1949. The sign was weathered, its paint peeling. The windows were blurred with time. Yet the place felt alive, breathing with a quiet dignity untouched by the years. The world had moved on. Shoes were no longer made by hand. Factories produced hundreds of pairs per minute with flashing machines and perfect seams. People ordered shoes online, cheap, shiny, and fast. But inside that small shop, beneath a single yellow bulb and the soft ticking of an old wall clock, an old man still worked with his hands. His name was Emil Graber, and he was the last shoemaker in town. Not a shoe seller, not a designer, a shoemaker. Every morning at 8 sharp, Emil unlocked the front door, swept the step, and sat at his workbench with old leather, a box of nails, and a heart full of patience. He didn't advertise. He didn't discount. He simply made shoes, one pair at a time, each pair carefully stitched, each sole nailed with purpose. He could tell a man's trade by his walk. He could hold a boot and know if it had carried sorrow or joy. People said the town didn't need a shoemaker anymore, but the older folk, who valued quiet moments, knew better. They came not just for shoes, but for the stories, for the memories, for the way Emil measured their feet and asked, "So, where have these been?" When he handed them the finished shoes, soft, sturdy, a perfect fit, he smiled not as a businessman, but as a craftsman who believed some things were still worth the time, even if the world had forgotten. Soft ticking of a clock, fade into sepia-toned memory. Sometimes, when the day was quiet and the light through the shop window turned golden, Emil would pause, let his tools rest, and recall a time when his hands were small and his father's hands were strong. Emil's father, Johann Graber, was also a shoemaker. His words were like his stitches, measured, necessary, tight. When he worked, there was something sacred in the way he touched the leather, as if it were skin or prayer. As a boy, Emil sat beside him, legs crossed on the wooden floor, watching. "Why do you work so slow?" the boy had once asked. Johann looked up, smiled gently, and said, "Shoes carry a man's life, his weight, his work, his path. If I rush, I disrespect his journey." The words stayed even after Johann grew frail. One evening before the fever took him, Johann called Emil to his bedside. The workshop was quiet, the air thick with wax and tanned leather. "Emil," he whispered, "the world will ask you to move faster, to make more, to trade time for gold. But shoes protect a stranger's feet, build them with a whole and honest heart. That's the promise. That's the price of our name." Emil nodded, holding back tears he didn't yet understand. That night, he vowed never to sell a shoe he didn't believe in, never to make anything with his name that didn't come from care. Years passed. The world spun faster. Malls sprouted, cities grew, factories flooded the market with millions of shoes. In his 30s, Emil met a businessman from Vienna. Bright smile, silver watch. He'd heard of Emil's boots. They lasted a lifetime, never squeaked, felt like home. He offered to build a factory, hire workers, mass produce, and make real money. All Emil had to do was stop using his hands. That night, Emil stood alone in the workshop, holding his father's old hammer. Its metal was dull, its handle cracked, but it fit his hand as if it belonged there. He thought of the people who walked in with broken shoes and left with something whole. He thought of the promise, with a whole and honest heart. He refused the offer. No factory, no expansion, just a small shop, one pair at a time. Gentle jazz fades out, soft thud of a luxury car door. Expensive leather shoes click on cobblestones. On a cool October Wednesday, as Emil was cutting a stubborn piece of leather, the bell above his door rang. 2 sharply dressed men walked in, one carrying a leather briefcase, the other wearing sunglasses indoors. Neither looked like they'd ever been measured for shoes. "Mr. Graber?" the man with the briefcase asked. Emil nodded. "You're wearing shoes 3 sizes too small," he said. They laughed, surprised. "We're from Orion Footwear," the man continued. "We're launching a heritage line. Premium look, handcrafted, luxury with soul. Your name carries value." He opened the briefcase, revealing a contract and a pen. "We want to license Emil Graber as the face of the brand." No labor, no travel. Just sign and let us build your legacy. The number on the paper took Emil's breath away. More than he earned in 10 years. They weren't buying his time, they were buying his identity. That evening, his grandson Tommy, a digital marketer in wireless sneakers, visited. "You didn't say no, did you?" Tommy said, eyes wide. "This is retirement, Uncle Emil. It protects your legacy." Emil poured tea into mismatched cups. "My name isn't a brand," he said. "It's a promise. I don't want it on shoes I never touched." Tommy sighed. "Nobody cares anymore. You could rest, fix the house, travel." Emil looked out at the quiet street. "I'm not afraid of resting," he said. "I'm afraid of disappearing." The next morning, a sample box appeared at his door. Inside were factory-made boots branded Graber, true craft since 1949. Clean, symmetrical, stylish, but too light, too flat, too perfect. They weren't made to carry a life, only to be seen. Emil locked the shop early, needing to think to remember. Gentle string music swells, camera shifts to Emil sitting at his workbench, a paper before him, pen in hand. Before dawn, Emil sat at the oak table under a small lamp. His calloused hands moved steadily as he wrote, "Dear Mr. Kessler, I am grateful for your generous offer and the opportunity it presents, but I must decline. My name, Emil Graber, is not a product or a brand for billboards or shoes I've never touched. It is the memory of my father's rough hands, callous from work and full of pride. It is the poor factory worker who walked 5 miles in broken shoes to ask for a pair that wouldn't hurt his feet. It is the boy who whispered, 'Please make them soft so my dying father can walk to church.' My name walks with those who need something lasting. It belongs to them, and to me, it is not for sale. Sincerely." He folded the letter with peace in his heart. No hesitation, no regret. A week passed. The contract remained unsigned. The shoes were returned. No lawyers came. But something unexpected happened. A man who had brought his late father's shoes for repair told a friend, who told another, who posted Emil's letter online with a photo. And just like that, the quiet shop was quiet no more. People came one by one. A woman with a 1963 photo of her grandfather in Graber boots. A teacher wanting real shoes. A boy saving his allowance for months. They came for meaning, for something human. Emil didn't get rich or expand, but the shop changed. The cracks in the walls remained, the smell of leather stayed, and the waiting list grew longer. A new sign appeared on the door, "Shoes made slowly, with honor." Under the same yellow bulb, Emil worked, hammer in hand, stitch by stitch, heart full. In a world where everything is for sale, he proved that some names are legacies, not brands. That some men are remembered because they never forgot who they were. Warm golden light glows in the workshop. Snow falls gently outside. Emil wraps a pair of boots in brown paper, tied tight with string. Tommy leaned in the doorway, watching. "Uncle, why didn't you take it? You could live in comfort. No more calluses, just peace." Emil dusted off a faded photo of his father and smiled. "I am living in peace, Tommy. Every shoe I make walks with a story I believe in. That's comfort I couldn't buy." Tommy nodded, seeing not just the shoes, but the quiet pride in every stitch. Outside, snow falls. Camera pans back through the window, past a hazy street lamp. Emil measures a young man's feet, another story beginning. The lessons from Emil Graber's story isn't just about shoes. It's about holding on to authenticity in a world chasing speed and profit. Here are the lessons. 1. Integrity over wealth. Emil refused tempting offers not out of needlessness, but because his name was a legacy of sincerity and quality, not a commodity. 2. Enduring quality. While the world chased quantity, Emil's patient craftsmanship reminds us that work done with heart always finds its place. The meaning of work. Emil didn't just make shoes. He listened, understood, and offered comfort through each stitch. True value lies in the quiet impact we leave on others. This story asks us, what are we chasing? Do we have the courage to stand by what we believe, even when the world turns away? Thank you for joining us for The Last Shoemaker. We hope Emil's story touched your heart, just as his shoes touched his customers' lives. Follow us for more meaningful stories. Have a cozy evening, and remember, every step you take carries a story worth treasuring.